Arc Raiders has been out for a few months at this point, but Marathon is like right around the corner. In fact, right now is what's the stress test called? I can't remember.
Server Slam.
The Server Slam. Right now, Marathon
Great
is
name.
having the Server Slam. It is. It really is. And it basically, Arc Raiders has proven that the extraction shooter genre as a genre can go mainstream, because that game is constantly on the top of the charts for Steam. I'm somebody who heard the term extraction shooter, heard it compared to Tarkov, and said, I'm not interested in that stuff at all. But then my barber told me like multiple times how much he loves Arc Raiders. And like so for like 2 months in a row, because I go there once a month, and he would say, oh, have you picked up Arc Raiders yet? 2 months in a row, he was saying how amazing it was and how he had so many awesome experiences as he was playing it. And so I was like, you know what? It's only $40. I'm going to pick it up and give it a shot. I'm now at like 90 hours in the game. I'm having a blast. And most of the time I'm playing solo, but I'm playing mostly PvE. Like very, very few times do I get killed by another player. Most of the time, it's me and other random people cooperating to take down giant robots. And when I say giant robots, I'm talking about like the size of buildings. If you haven't played Arc Raiders, I highly recommend it. So I've been convinced that extraction shooters can be really, really good. But Arc Raiders kind of ate up a lot of the excitement around that genre, and people don't have time for multiple live service games. Like you usually pick one or two live service game that you're going to play. And when you pick that, it's usually from two different genres. You're not going to usually pick two extraction shooters to play on the regular. And so we were kind of talking about this today in our private Discord, and it made me think, okay, this is a fun topic to talk about, which is another reason I wish Kerry was on, because he was really driving that conversation. But here's the question that Kerry asked in Discord. He basically said, did Arc Raiders kill Marathon before it even launched? So that's my question for you guys. Do you think that Arc Raiders has made it impossible for Marathon to succeed? What do you think about that, Russ?
So I feel like the cream will rise to the top between these, right? Like, so it's just, it may not have caused Marathon to have a failure, but may have actually given Marathon a player base, and so I think that might be a potential. Is it really just going to be a competition between them? What I'm most worried about and concerned about and sad about is that Marathon killed Destiny 2. That's what I'm worried about, right? Is that all these resources are going to go towards the game that I like, the one that has a PvE element as opposed to just PvP, which is all Marathon is. I'm never going to touch this game, even though I'm just, I want to play a Bungie game. I just don't want to play this game. It's like giving you Halo 2 and it's only got a disc that's only multiplayer. I'm like, I want to play the story, and so that's kind of where I am with it. I don't think it's going to kill Arc Raider, or Arc Raider is going to kill Marathon. It's just going to be a competition, and may the best man win.
There is more of at least according to some impressions from Server Slam so far, there is a good amount of PvE. The encounters with other people, although they are always deadly, have been rare so far. So that's interesting. That said, I don't think you would like extraction shooters.
Yeah. No, I don't
more
think so.
broadly.
The Division is an extraction shooter, right? Like that's one of the first ones.
I actually don't know.
Well, so the Division, I haven't played the first one. The Division 2 it's just an MMO, but there's an area that you can go that's an extraction shooter.
Yeah, so I feel like that's the only game that's even close to this genre that I played before, and it was because all my Destiny buddies were like, oh no, we're moving over to this one. So I bought it at full price, and I was like, this is so, like a day into it, I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm going back to Destiny, and just wasted my $60. And so, yeah, this isn't really my thing at all.
Yeah. Yeah, and then your question, Bill, which, like you said, it was Carrie's question in the group chat. I think it's actually two questions, right? So before I answer, I'm going to ask a question back at you, Russ, and Bill. can any extraction shooter top Arc Raiders? That's the first part of that question. And so, Russ, what do you think?
I have no idea, but I think that Arc Raiders is doing a good job because it's one of the most played games on Steam Deck, which says a lot to me in terms of optimization. The fact that it's just playable everywhere, I think is a big deal.
That's
Whereas
a great
opposed
point.
with Marathon, all I'm hearing about is how beautiful the game is, and that's going to cost some resources to make it that beautiful. And so I think that a game like this that's going to rely on a big player base needs to be accessible. And I think that Arc Raiders, at least as far as I can tell, seems to have that leg up, at least in terms of just the resources required to play it.
Also, I will say this, when people are like, Arc Raiders is really well optimized, it's an Unreal 5 game. People are always saying how awful Unreal 5 is. It's an Unreal 5 game, and it runs just fine. It runs, in fact, really great. So, like, I play on my system, I play at 4K, usually 90. 4K 90.
Nice.
And no hitches, nothing. It just runs like an absolute dream. So it's optimized extremely well. But can any, like Rich's question, can any game top Marathon? I don't know, but I hope so. Like, I'm having so much fun with it. The thing is like, if you had asked me 6 months ago, do you want to play Marathon? It's an extraction shooter from Bungie. I would have said, well, I like Bungie's stuff a lot, but an extraction shooter is not for me. So no, not even a little. And now that I've played Arc Raiders and I've had so much fun with it, I've changed my mind. I am now interested in Marathon, whereas otherwise I wouldn't have been. So go ahead.
Which lends credence to what Russ was saying. Even if you ultimately decide it's not for you, Arc Raiders has probably opened up. It's probably blossomed the community.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say the same. Like Halo paved the way for Call of Duty, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's a potential that Arc Raiders could do for Marathon.
Yeah, I would say, okay, so first off, when Carrie asked the question, my immediate reaction was, well, let's talk about this on the podcast. So I didn't answer. But my answer at that time was, no, it did not kill Marathon before it even launched, because it made me interested in a game that I was never interested in before. And it reminds me of when Orange Box, which was Valve's combo pack of Portal 2, Team Fortress 2, and Half-Life 2, all in one system, came to the Xbox 360. And prior to that, if you had said, Bill, you're going to play a first-person shooter using a joystick instead of a mouse and keyboard, I would have said, you're out of your mind. But then I played Orange Box and I got used to it, and I was like, oh, well, now I'm okay. I'm perfectly fine playing games on in fact, that's my preferred way to play games these days. So I think Arc Raiders has done Marathon a lot of favors by convincing the mainstream that this genre is something that can be fun.
Yeah, I think, going back to my first part of that question, can any extraction shooter top Arc Raiders? That depends entirely on where you think extraction shooters are in their arc, right? No pun intended. But have extraction shooters peaked? My personal opinion is no, right? Like, we could probably say battle royales have peaked, hero shooters have peaked, but I don't think extraction shooters have peaked. So I think there's room for a bigger extraction shooter than Arc Raiders. Is Marathon going to be that? That's where I like Russ's what you said is the cream will rise to the top, right? Like, it depends entirely on whether or not Marathon is a game that resonates with players. I actually don't think it has to be accessible, and impressions so far are that it's not nearly as accessible as Arc Raiders, and I don't think it has to be accessible. I think there are very difficult, complex games out there that are successful. Deadlock looks like it's going to be one. Dota obviously is one, and so those games exist, and Marathon can potentially be that too. For the podcast, I did do I looked at the numbers, so a few numbers here. Arc Raiders week 1 peak concurrent users was 354,000. The latest 24-hour peak is around 214,000. And then when you look at like how many followers Arc Raiders had 10 days prior to release on the Steam page, it was 226,000, whereas Marathon has 74,000, or it had at about 10 days prior to release. So already Marathon has a lot of catching up to do, even with pre-release compared to Arc Raiders. I think one more thing there was the Concord open beta, I think was around 2,600 concurrent users, whereas this open beta Server Slam is already at, I want to say 140,000. So this is a like orders of magnitude, or a couple orders of magnitude more successful than Concord, but right now it has an uphill climb when compared to Arc Raiders.
I think a lot of people lost interest in Marathon when they had all that controversy a while back. Like there was the AI controversy where they were somebody, I'm not saying that Bungie was doing it, but somebody who worked at Bungie was stealing somebody else's art and just throwing it in the game. Right. And it was like plastered all over the place. And I think that left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouth. And so they said, I'm out. And it also doesn't help that Destiny 2, sorry, Russ, but every time there's a new Destiny 2 expansion, everybody's like, what the hell? How can you screw it up this bad? Like people used to love Destiny 2, and now it's kind of become like a joke. And that's terrible, because Destiny 2 was a really, really good game, but Bungie kept doing things over and over that alienated their biggest fans.
No, I think it's fair, and I think that they were way overdue for a new IP, not a new IP, but a new game. You know what I mean? Like, not just expansion packs. And so I was putting a lot of faith in Marathon kind of being that next step, and they probably are thinking about it like that. But unfortunately, it does leave me high and dry, just as a guy who likes to play casually in a PvE environment with Halo-style controls.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
One thing I want to close out on, it seems like we're closing out on this topic. One thing I want to point out is there are a lot of stories recently that really kind of highlight the importance of developing live service games in public. Meaning, if you're going to develop a live service game, you really have to have these public play tests and kind of have no sacred cows when it comes to your game, right? And so Deadlock, again, is an example of that. Deadlock has notoriously changed direction a ton, and this is with regard to them getting testers in and, oh, they didn't like that art style, we're going to change that. They didn't like that XYZ, we're going to change that. So Deadlock has been very aggressive about testing and making changes, even before kind of the semi-open beta that we have today. Not the finals. Arc Raiders was another one that had public playtests. They already had goodwill coming from the finals, but there were some public playtests that gave good feedback. In contrast, Concord had none of that. They had one single open beta weekend, if I recall correctly. Highguard notoriously wanted to do a surprise launch. There's a post actually from Jason Schreier today on Bloomberg that reveals that they did not want to do public playtests because they wanted a surprise launch just like Apex Legends. They took their experience from Apex Legends and wanted to have that for Highguard. And so, yeah, I just think it's important to kind of develop in public. If you're going to release a games as a service game in 2026, you can't do it in a vacuum anymore.
I almost think that all these games need to be early access. And also just slapping early access on there is a huge, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word that I want to say, but it reminds me of when Gmail was in beta for 12 freaking years or whatever.
Yeah.
And like every time that there was a problem with Gmail, people would say, well, it's in beta. I mean, what the hell do you expect? So if a game like Highguard had launched in early access and it launched the way that it did, people would have said, well, it's in early access. Give them a chance to tweak things and learn from the audience that's playing it. I think that's a much better way to launch a gas game.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, let us know what you guys think. Are you planning on picking up Marathon? Have you already played in the server slam? Let us know what you guys think in the comments down below. So you just saw a clip of my podcast, the Nerd Nest podcast. If you enjoyed it, then do me a favor and click on that like button. And if you really enjoyed it, then check out the link in the description down below. It's going to take you to the full podcast so you can watch the entire conversation and a whole lot more. If that sounds good, I hope to see you over there. Thanks for watching. Stay rad, everybody.